She would have did just fine trying to explain what a
I
doula
didn't want to
is.
explain, I just didn't want to give it away in case someone didn't know. I didn't want to be a spoiler.
Good plan. Okay, so before we get started, how many people in here have ever heard the word doula or know what a doula is? Excellent. Some people have never even heard the word, so that's what I'm doing here today. So my name is Dr. Helen Kociba. I'm a naturopath and a women's health advocate. I have a business in Midland where that's primarily what I do. I represent we've seen so many good topics here today, all about some of the things I talk daily in and out about, which is women's health and having a positive outlook for it. So when it comes to birth, there's a special and very professional role called a birth doula. But I feel like most importantly, we should look at that it's not just for birth itself. So the next slide, hey, I don't even use the technology, my hand. Yes. First try. All right. So first things first, the simplistic look at what is a doula is a woman that serves. This is not a new role. This is something that's been going on for years, hundreds of, just thousands and thousands of years. A woman who is in service to another. We'll just say that at first because there's actually different types of roles that a doula can take on. So the first one being a birth doula. This is somebody, and I'm going to go into each one of these with some detail. Secondarily, a postpartum doula, somebody who takes care of the mother and the baby after the babies come and is here. And then finally, one that people don't hear much about, especially in the United States, but it's pretty prevalent in the rest of the world, and that's an end-of-life doula. That's somebody who spends time with a family member or a person who you've been hired to do so to help in the passing of that individual. Okay, there we go. So the first things first, before I go into that next one, so how and why would I have ever stumbled on this role as a doula? Where does it come from? So my why comes from a story of how my first child was born. His name is Brendan. He's amazing. I got the opportunity to meet this really cool doctor. I live in a rural setup, so this doctor from Pontiac came up and he was going to help me. So he asked me on a Wednesday, do you want to meet your baby today? I was like 39 weeks, no dilation, no signs of labor, nothing going on. And if you ask a new mother that and she has no background in the why not zone, she's going to excitedly say yes. So that's what I did. I said, of course I want to meet my new son. So off to the hospital we go, cute and pregnant, not feeling a single contraction yet to this point. And they start the process called induction. So for the next 31 hours, I laid in a bed, strapped to a monitor, with medication pumping into me that was procuring this labor process. So that's not uncommon today, but one of the missing things is in that process, I knew one thing, drugs were bad. So I not only did that for 31 hours, I laid there with my brand new husband right next to me. He's rubbing my leg because I'm in complete agony, strapped down to the bed with the monitors, with all of the things. I had an IV, and he watched me labor for 31 hours with no pain medication. Pitocin was turned up all the way. We were going to have a baby, right? So the enthusiasm that I had at the beginning, you can imagine started to really go away as this process started. So the doctor came in at the very end as Brendan was being born. I had the possibility to have a vaginal delivery still after that many hours because they actually didn't have somebody that could do anesthetic at this hospital. So that's all that really stood in between me and a C-section. So after this whole experience, they sent me home less than 24 hours after that labor process. My breast milk had not come in. There was no lactation consultant. So here's my husband still rubbing my leg. Like, you can do this. And his eyes were in complete shock. And I don't know, I look at the pictures of myself, and I knew I was too. So as we left the hospital with a little newborn, no idea what was going on, We went home, and all that I could keep thinking in my brain was, why wasn't somebody standing there where they could have like maybe buffered me with some of this that just went on? But I didn't know that that was a real thought yet. So now take it a year later, within a year, I started to have this really deep, I don't even know what you'd call it, a stirring, and I got this mission saying that I will make sure no other woman will ever go through what I just went through. I didn't know what the word doula meant. I didn't know that somebody could do this role. All that I knew is that my story meant something and that I could do for others what wasn't done for me. So that's where my passion started to become a doula. Because some people, they conceive the idea and that's enough. For some reason, I always get the in living color version of what you've got to do next. So that is my why, for why I jumped into this role of becoming a doula. And you'll know Brendan is beautiful and happy and healthy today. Nothing, thank God, was wrong from that labor process. So I look at the role of doula as it's where the mother or the elder used to stand when it came to big life events in the family. So birth and death are two of the things that share the same common doorway. And there used to be an aunt or a mother or somebody in that present holding space, placeholder right there for you while that took place. That has gone a little bit by the wayside, and therefore I feel like that's where that role as doula has come into play. Okay? So now that we know what it means, I would kind of like to touch on some of the questions I've gotten as I walk through teaching at the Naturopathic Institute about to become a doula, you do this. One of the primary questions I get is, so are doulas the same as midwives? Which is a great question. Doulas are not the same as midwives. They have some very key differences. The midwife is somebody who is like the medical professional role of an OB or a physician in the room, whereas the midwife most of the time operates either at home or can also be in the hospital. But the doula, it doesn't serve in any of those capacities. We're a non-medical role that sits with the whole process and actually comes into play beforehand. So this person isn't generally a friend or a family member. She's somebody who is hired professionally. Okay. So, oops, that keeps going the wrong way. That's me doing that. So a doula is a valuable member at the hospital and in home birth setting. In my career, I've been at this for over 25 years now, because when I got that seed of passion planted, for whatever reason, time after time, event after event, I kept getting the opportunity to help women. And it varied every single birth that I was in on. So I've served at home, in the home birth setting, and then I've also served in the hospital. Physicians and midwives love working with doulas. If you ever come across one who doesn't really love it, I would say that they probably didn't get to know that person very well because of what she does in the room. Okay, so what does a doula do in a birth doula setup? So she's the person that might get in touch with you or be hired maybe 4 to 8 weeks ahead of time, and that's where the planning begins. She's the one in the room that can encourage you. She can keep you positive about the whole birth experience that is truly in the unknown for many women. She's your #1 fan, okay? Because she believes in your body and the process of birth, maybe even more than that mother who's in the laboring process. So it's amazing to have somebody standing right in that space that doesn't leave your side. The medical staff goes in and out. You might change nurses. Physician might show up at the end. He might not be there, or she might not be there for the whole thing. A doula doesn't move. She doesn't go anywhere. She might go and get a snack or help in other ways, but ultimately she stays with the mother. Okay? So one of the things that she might do to help have a successful birth is help you prepare a birth plan. This is just a sample of some questions and some things that go on when putting together a birth plan, but think of it like your dream list. Okay, so if you were told, write down everything you want to happen from start to finish, that is what a birth plan, and then of course a baby plan is as well. And the doula is somebody in the room that helps those dreams and that method of birthing come true for you. So if you do not want epidural medication, she's going to know and be, she has this present with her in the room. There's usually a couple copies floating around, and she's going to help you achieve that goal. So I, in my experience, have gotten the opportunity to really see and show women time and time again just how powerful and amazing they are. They might walk in and say, I want an epidural in the parking lot. And that's a pretty serious notion for wanting that epidural. Then they get into the labor and delivery room, and I watch their partner come alive. I watch their body go into primal purpose, right? What it's meant to do. And I watch them soar through the whole experience while I hold that space, and they don't need that epidural. They don't need any medication. They just need somebody to believe in them. There's a quote that says, if a doula was a drug, it would be unethical not to use it. And this is why. So these are just some of the percentages and the breakdowns of why having a doula or a women's advocate in the room who's trained especially for this is some of the outcome that can be different. This is what can undo birth trauma before it even occurs. A doula is that amazing and powerful to have with you. Okay? So Ina Mae Gaskin has been a midwife. She's been an at-home midwife for years and years, and she's somebody I draw a lot of my purpose and my action from too. And she says, if a woman does not look like a goddess during birth, then someone isn't treating her right. And that's truly, in my complete passion for this work, my job is just to make sure that mother first is advocated and cared for, baby comes next, then the partner is next. So I create this bubble of safety, of confidence, because I'm trained with wisdom on both medical and non-medical things, and I can bring light to all of those questions she might have, or he might have. Next is just postpartum doula. This is somebody who, like the birth doula, might stick with her after the baby comes. And she does things from newborn care, education, just helping that mom. Maybe she's never breastfed before, and she just needs somebody with an extra set of hands. That comes in very, very handy. So these are all, the birth doula can be hired separate from the postpartum or package. The last one is a end-of-life doula or death doula. I do this, but I don't advertise it. I teach it. I have a lot of time with families, helping them to achieve the death process that they would like to see for their loved ones. Or maybe I'm talking to the loved one themselves that understand, just like birth, we have choices and we have dignities and we have rights in order to die just the same as we do when we give birth. So this is a person who brings education and guidance. She or he can be there while this process is taking place. You can use natural remedies, just like in birth, that are homeopathic, things for emotional stability. Really, just another person holding space in a process that's so sacred. Oops. So in this little Venn diagram, I often say, because I've been approached in the past, and they're like, let me ask you a question. Does being a doula pay enough? And I think to myself, pay. It's a really neat concept, but I'll be honest, at the end of the day, for all of the energy you put into it, I don't think there's ever enough pay for somebody who serves as a doula. So I look at that, and then they say, well, but how do you, schedule off at your office? You have a practice. How do you make sure that they don't give birth when you're seeing clients? Well, let me tell you this. You're in the middle of watching me having a mom on call right now. I was watching the time going, am I going to get to do my talk? Because she is potentially going to have her baby today. So convenience, not always, but the meaning for this whole talk and everything is sometimes you feel like there's just a purpose to what you want to achieve, and it might not have a monetary value. It might not be for yourself. It might solely be for others. So at the Institute, I teach a doula course with a naturopathic application to it, so you get a lot of tools on how to be great at both the birth, postpartum, and then if you choose to, the end of life doula. So sometimes people sit here and they're like, that sounds like me. Or I've had people go, that doesn't sound like me at all. And both are totally okay. But if it does sound like you, this might be something that you have in your next chapter. So thank you and enjoy the rest of the conference.